Hey cloud gamers, and welcome to the Cloud Gaming Stream channel, the destination for all things cloud gaming. Today I'm having a look at Borderlands 3 as it's now available on PS Now. So checking against PS Now, Stadia and Boosteroid here, starting with the startup speed test, which was phenomenally long on PlayStation Now for some reason, with Stadia coming in first at 158. Boosteroid not too far behind here, but still a little bit slower to start, with 3 minutes and 3. PlayStation Now taking an absolute age here. We'll catch up to that in a minute. Now I'm not sure what the devs at 2K were doing here for Borderlands 3, but for PlayStation Now we are finally in at 4:11 and 40. This has to be one of the most inconsistent comparisons that I have done to date, with PS Now having some strange issues to start with and Stadia having some very huge pop-in issues, which we'll see in a second. But starting with, it doesn't look too different across the board. I think Stadia has the best coloration here. Boosteroid seems to be a little bit over bright, and PS Now looks fairly close to Stadia here. When I say about it being inconsistent, we'll see when we start moving here that PlayStation Now doesn't look as good as in the intro sequence, which we have seen before on PlayStation. But first, if we look at the Echo device, we have a very weird issue on the Stadia side. Where are all the graphics on the Echo device? Now, we had one of the greater details here when we look around the environment and on the bot itself, but for some reason the graphics on the Echo device just do not load. Now, this isn't the only time that we see this, and we do see it in a few other instances on the Stadia side. So I'm not sure whether there's just some weird pop-in issue or maybe they just forgot to render some of the graphics. As we're moving around here, we can see that Stadia and Boosteroid are crystal clear, but we are seeing a little bit of blurriness on the PS Now side, and PS Now has definitely got the worst field of view. And now we start moving on the PlayStation Now side, you can see that we're getting a 720 upscaled image and that streaming quality has gone really bad. I'm not quite sure what was going on here, but this is not the first time I've seen this on PS Now, where it's been very clear to begin with, and then pretty poor after that. As we pause looking out over Children of the Vault, we see extreme blurriness on the PS Now side, Stadia looking not too bad, and on the Boosteroid side being very clear there. As we switch over to some PlayStation Now gunplay on its own, again we really see that blurriness as we're moving around. And the quality here is definitely 720 at best, being upscaled to 1080, but the streaming quality just went to absolute rubbish for me here. And this continued through the rest of my play. I'm not quite sure what was going on because my internet was fine, and when I was recording the other platforms straight after this, there was no issues on those platforms either. Response wise, I had to use the PlayStation 4 controller and it was fine, but I'm just not very good with a controller. Moving over to Stadia, I was using the keyboard and mouse here, so things are a little bit more accurate. Quality wise, again, it's looking absolutely fine here at 1080, moving around with no input lag. And if you do look closely at some of the environment, you'll see a little bit of that pop in, but nowhere near as bad as on that Echo device. But we do see some cutscenes later on in the game where that pop in does show itself again. All in all, Stadia looking absolutely fine here in the gun battle scenes. When we move over to Boosteroid, we can see a little bit of jerkiness as we're moving around. And there was a small amount of input lag even with the keyboard and mouse here. Quality wise, looking around the same if not slightly better than on the Stadia side. But that jitter does make it a little bit worse. On Stadia it was much more smooth, so quality over performance is definitely not the best here. Given the option, I would go with the performance. I did look at lowering the settings as Boosteroid was on the high settings, but it didn't make much difference to the input lag here. So looking good with a little bit of lag is the best we could get out of Boosteroid here. And this is what I mean about Borderlands 3 being very inconsistent. As on the PlayStation Now side, we get that blurry graphics in and out. Sometimes it's pin sharp in certain cutscenes, and then when you play the game, it's blurry again. With the Stadia, we're getting some really random pop-ins, especially in some of the cutscenes where some graphics just don't seem to load. On Boosteroid, you might have noticed that the graphics have gone a bit dark. Again, past that certain point, for some reason the gamma or the brightness changed on Boosteroid, and you need to go and change the brightness, but it's still lower down on the others. This has only happened with Borderlands 3 and not any of the other games I've played, so Borderlands 3 being extremely inconsistent here across the board on all three streaming platforms. Let us know what you think in the comments below about these three systems and whether you're going to be picking up Borderlands 3 on any of these or trying it elsewhere. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things cloud gaming, and we will see you next time.